There's a certain kind of stuck that no one talks about. The kind where everything looks fine on the outside, but your soul's slowly dying on the inside. Well, that was me. I had a respected job, six-figure salary, investment properties. Everything looked great on paper, but I just felt off and things just didn't feel right. I felt like I was stuck in a cage. Hi, I'm Kaki Lee. I'm a wealth and share trading mentor, and I teach women how to create day one cash flow on the stock market using strategy and soul. But I didn't start here, far from it. In fact, I followed all the rules and tried to check all the boxes for a very long time until I didn't. And I want to start off with sharing that my story isn't a polished success story. It's something that I've never fully shared because I was afraid of how people will see me. Because saying no to a life that everyone else expects you to have, it's hard, it's messy, and it's also the best thing that I could have done is liberating and really powerful. But this story isn't just about share trading. It's about choosing yourself when everyone and everything around you says you shouldn't. I want you to have a think. Where in your life does something feel off, but on the outside, everyone thinks that it's perfect? So, I actually was a pharmacist before becoming a wealth and share trading mentor because it was sold to me as a really good job from my parents. I'm from a very stereotypical Chinese immigrant family. We migrated to Australia. My parents had a Chinese restaurant. And when I was 10, 11, we had pharmacy students that would come do part time work. And my parents found out that they get paid really well, they have flexible hours, and it's a respected career. And it's something that I can do after I get married and have kids. So they were planning my future, which is great because, all parents want their kids to thrive and be successful. So, from a very young age, I was told that pharmacy is the perfect job for me. Not a doctor, because doctors work long hours and have to be on call, pharmacist. And because it was a stable and respected career as well. I didn't hate it. Actually, I thrived in it. I didn't fail. I went from a junior pharmacist to becoming a chief pharmacist in a tertiary children's hospital. Six-figure salary. I was leading teams. I was trusted. I was respected. And I had a really good reputation at work. And my ego thought I was irreplaceable until I went off to have a baby. And when I returned from maternity leave the first time, everything just felt different. There was nothing wrong with pharmacy, but emotionally, energetically, and those are terms that I would have never used back in the days, it just felt like I was stuck. I was stuck in a cage. Clinical pharmacy had never lit me up. I found it quite boring, even though all the junior pharmacists that come into hospital want to go into clinical as soon as possible. It was when I actually went into management and started leading teams and building community, building trust, making decisions. That was when things started really lighting up for me. But you can only get to a certain point in pharmacy in the hospital. And if you were working in retail, there is really no career progression unless you buy your own pharmacy. So I just felt like, where do I go from this? I wasn't burnt out. I actually, back then, wore my long hours as a badge of honor. I used to work very long hours. I'll come in before everyone else and leave before. Um, not before, after everyone else, take things home to do. And when I worked it out as an hourly wage, I was earning per hour less than the cleaner in the pharmacy, which was very uninspiring considering the amount of work that I do and the responsibilities I had. And so, you have those moments where you go, hmm, where do I go from here? And maybe you've had one of those moments too where you just know you needed to get out. And you know that if you don't get out, that you'll become angry and uninspired like the people that was working around me. So that's my pharmacy story. I'm going to backtrack a little bit to my accounting story because I think there was always a part of me that knew that pharmacy wasn't for me, even from when I first graduated. So I graduated pharmacy, I worked in the retail pharmacy for a year, and then my best friend back then and I went off to England to work for a year, and we traveled around Europe. It was wonderful. And when I came back, I just went, I don't want to be in pharmacy anymore. I want to do something else. So I got into hospital pharmacy because I didn't want to be in retail anymore and went, you know what? I'm going to study accounting because that's what you do. So I went off and thought, I'm going to start a career in accounting because there is career progression. You can climb the ladder. There, you can make a lot more than a pharmacist could make if you get up to that stage. So I went off to study, working full time, studying, got my master's in accounting with a distinction because, high achiever here. And when the year that I graduated was a year that I was getting married, going on my honeymoon, going on a girls' trip with some girlfriends as well. And I was looking at what it would look like for me to start afresh in accounting. It would mean more hours because one of my friends in pharmacy actually went off to do accounting and he's like, they eat their own children. So I was like, oh, you should have told me that at the beginning. So long, very long hours, less pay. It would be, I think it was about a 40% pay cut if I were to start in accounting and starting again. So it was just very unmotivating in that particular chapter in my life. It was another version of a trap. It's the same trap, but in a shinier cage, right? So I used my logic to stay in pharmacy in a job that I knew I didn't want to be in so that I don't have to start anew. And sometimes I think if I went into accounting, where would I be right now? But, let's get rid of the what ifs. So I think so many of us do this where we logically make excuses so that we don't have to create the life that we want and that we can stay stuck because our logic tells us otherwise, right? Because that was what I did. I logically made the excuse to not change career. And it wasn't a bad thing. That was when I started thriving and becoming, taking the steps to get into high positions and becoming a chief pharmacist. But that's not the point. I was still making myself stuck. And, during this time when I had my first baby, it was this mini awakening for me. It was like I started asking the existential questions of why am I here? Is there all there is to life? And I actually started taking steps then to look for things that I can do outside of pharmacy. I looked at MLMs, I looked at network marketing, affiliate marketing, brick and mortar businesses. I thought I'll start a cafe, franchises, copywriting courses, you name it. I've probably looked at it at some point, but nothing felt right to me. And I did end up in a network marketing business, and it was so misaligned. It just didn't work for me. And sure, it does work for people, but when things don't align with you and who you are and your truth, it just doesn't work. And I didn't understand that until quite a bit later on. But let me get back into, the story of share trading because I actually started share trading when I was quite young. I was in my late teens, early 20s, too long ago, can't remember the exact age, because my dad taught me from young that in order to get ahead, if you want to be wealthy, if you want to be well off, you either start a business or you invest. And coming from a Chinese immigrant family in a Chinese restaurant where my parents were working very hard every single day, That was very uninspiring for me. I did not want to start my own business. There was no way that I wanted to start my own business. So I went, okay, right, I'll do the investing. And my dad taught me how to share trade. The thing is, my dad was self taught. So there was no formal training, no system, no strategy. For me, it was wild and emotional because I would watch the stock market all the time. This is the Australian stock market. And because I had lots of stories around money, which I didn't know were stories back then. So it was very stressful for me to watch my money go into the stock market, and then, the price goes up and down and up and down. And granted, I did make some money on the stock market back then. I also lost money. So it probably became quite even. It wasn't really doing anything to build my wealth. So I actually left it. I went into property investment, built up a property portfolio, did the subdivisions, did the renovations, you know, all those things. But it still wasn't what I wanted, because it got to a point with property where my husband and I figured out that we were actually losing money, in that we were forking out a lot more each year. So even after getting our tax from negative gearing, we were still out of pocket 40 to 60 grand a year, depending on whether things needed to be fixed. So we went, okay, property, the way that we were doing it, isn't working for us. And so I kept searching for something whilst I was still in pharmacy. And then I found it. I found my strategy. I found my mentor at a property investment seminar. And when I heard him speak, I went, oh, this makes so much sense. It's exactly what I've been looking for. And, from the time when I first started share trading with my dad to now having had children, uh, one child back then, and done a lot of personal development, it was okay, I can do this. I had changed. I was ready for that life of investment. I was a mother. I had a different perspective. I know that I wasn't irreplaceable at work. And I was just done having to achieve and strive and perform. I just wanted peace. I wanted clarity. I wanted freedom. I wanted to just do something at home where I can, I don't need to answer to anyone. It's just answering to myself. So this time I brought the strategy with me. And then later on, I brought in the soul piece of it as well. And I brought in the decision to do things my way. And that's when everything started to shift. Because when I decided to learn this strategy, for share trading strategy, I wasn't just learning a new skill. I had made a life changing decision to stop following what everyone else was doing and start leading myself, to stop giving my power away to the jobs, to the degrees, to the titles, to other people's opinions. I said no to the life everyone else wanted, and I built a new one that required a lot of messy work, but in the end became a life of calm, cash flow, and purpose. And for those of you who know about the life path numbers, I'm a life path 1 energy. So I'm here to go first, not just for myself, but really for all the women who are watching and wondering, is this all there is? Because I can tell you that it isn't. And when I found the share trading strategy, it completely changed my life. I started learning this on the day of my maternity leave, the first day maternity leave with my second child. I went, right, I'm going to learn this properly and get into this share trading, because I can just see that it is life changing. And lo and behold, I never went back to work after this second lot of maternity leave. I was able to replace my income and not go back, and now share my story and teach other people how to do it as well. So nowadays, I teach women how to create that day one cash flow using the strategy, which is called covered calls. You can Google it and find out more about it, um, do your due diligence. But more than just teaching the strategy, my purpose is to guide them through my secret, not so secret formula to success, which is combining the share trading strategy with mindset, with energetics. Because I can tell you, you don't need to keep hustling and keep grinding to make ends meet, to get more money and build your, to try and build a life that you want by hustling and grinding, because you're never actually going to build anything. You're too exhausted and tired to do it. This strategy will allow you to have that free time because it doesn't require a lot of your time. And what I do, I'm not one of the teachers of the stock market where I'm going to give you the fish and go, hey, trade this, trade that. I don't give you the fish. I teach you how to cast the damn line. I teach you how to fish. So, if any part of my story awakens something in you, this is your invitation to choose something differently. To remember that feeling safe, I'm going to echo safe, isn't the same as alignment, because you can be in your comfort zone but feel totally uncomfortable in your comfort zone. It's just that you are too scared to take the leap of faith. This is your invitation to stop shooting all over yourself and start creating the life that you've always wanted. I've just opened up 3 spots to my 6-month private mentorship, the Quantum Wealth Private Mentorship. It's one-on-one. I teach you the ins and outs of the strategy and we go deep. So we focus on the cover call strategy. I teach you everything that I know that has helped me replace my full-time pharmacy income. And we go deep into the mindset work, and we go even deeper in the energetics work, because that's where you can expand your capacity to receive, to hold, and to circulate wealth. So I only have 3 places available. If this has ignited some curiosity within you, then DM me or email me hello@kakili.com if you're feeling the pull. And just know that you don't need to be ready. You just need to be willing to lead yourself. And in the next video, I'll be showing you how I went from emotional roller coasters to grounded intuitive trades. We're talking about mindful share trading, why the market needs more women who trust themselves. I'll see you there.